Hey everybody, here's the beginning of my Showdown chassis kit build with the for a modified 37 Ford body. Should be getting to Harry's for the January event if I'm lucky. Anyway, today I thought I'd talk about these small little bits that come in this kit. You see here, this is everything you get minus these tools over here. And there's a lot of teeny little things in here that if you have not messed around with some of the advanced chassis or built your scratch built before, you may not have messed with these little grub screws. So I thought I'd just run over that quick. They threw in nicely 6 of them when you only need 5. There's one for each wheel and one for the crown gear, and I think that's it. And then you get 2 little screws for the motor to hold it to the mount. The threaded ends there. Those are a very small Phillips head. So of course you'll need a small Phillips head driver. I think I might have the wrong size one. And for these teeny little grub screws, you need a 0.9 hex head driver. I think it's a hex. So I'll show you how I put them in. It's not that hard if you've never done it before. And you need glasses. Make sure you have them handy. I do. Okay, let's see. There. Yeah, see how that goes shooting off? Make sure you're on somewhere where you've got a ridge around your surface so you don't lose them. So find the end. Fit your tool in it carefully. And find the thread. I'll set them in. Don't go too far because then you won't get your axle in, but you can always back it off and figure that out. That way you won't lose your screws if you start them. I like to put them in there at the beginning. Same with the wheel. Stick it through a little hole. And there it is. I'll just do that with all 4 of them. And if you see, it's hard to tell, but one end is slightly beveled. That's the opposite end. The less beveled end is where your socket is going to be. There. And sometimes the wheels are a little tough to get started. There we go. 2 more. After this, I'll put the pinion gear on the motor. All these little like I said, if you haven't played around with like Slottits or some other higher end cars that have grub screws in them, you may not have these tools. They're easy to get. You can get them at any of the hobby suppliers where you get your slot cars from, or your parts, Slot Car Corner or any of the others. Or you can go on the internet and get a set. They usually come in sets. Mine had, I don't know, 6 or 7 different sizes, which comes in handy because there's a couple of brands that use a different size if you play with the other cars. All right, so there's my extra. I'm going to stick it in this little Ziploc bag because probably won't need it here, but it's nice to have spares. I can get this open. Live entertainment here. And inside this bag, you'll see some clear spacers. Those are for the wheels. We'll use those much later. So set that aside. These screws are your body mount screws. You're probably familiar with those. And like I said, the motor screws. So let's move on to the motor. We got the pinion gear on your motor. And if you haven't done this before, you need a pinion press. I just got this one the other day from Slot Car Corner. Before I used this, I used a nice heavy-duty bench vise and a piece of metal, lovely, with a hole in it. That's my furnace. Hope it's not too loud. But this is a little handier, and it wasn't very expensive from Slot Car Corner. There's nicer ones out there, but I got this because it was, I think, the cheapest one they had. So what you do is you stick your pinion in there, make sure it kind of lines up with the little bevels on it, and there's a little hole divot at the end of this. Just make sure your shaft is straight, give it a turn, and it'll start its way on there. And once it's on, stop when it feels a little resistance, because it's at the end of the cup. Let's see, that one, yep. And then you put in this little spacer, whoop, put it back on, and now the spacer will go over the gear and allow the shaft to go through a bit. Now don't put it on too far in the beginning unless you have a puller to pull it back, because if you go too far on, you have to have something to pull it back to get it to line up with the spur gear once you have everything put together. So there you go. There's the simple details, a few tools that you probably will need, and if you plan on building a lot of cars, it's a good investment to go buy some. All right, hope this was helpful. Goodbye.